Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of TPIM SR Live. I'm True Power Spine, I'm your host. Today's date, March 26, 2019. The hope of the world. Pretty broad topic. I'm doing this by design. We all know now that the internet is basically, it's going to be going the way of the dodo bird. All right, the reality is, kiddos, there's been too much knowledge passed in between all the BS and all that's out there. There's too much real knowledge getting out. Now I'm probably going to get whammed for just even showing that. So I have to go to something a little more vague and ambiguous, I guess. I do like that. I like that scene. I can't help myself. That is so tranquil. But I want something a little more vibrant. And that's too much. There you go. That's something chill. Oh man, that's way too big. Hold on. There we go. There. That's beautiful. Okay. Where to start at? If we haven't known by now, let me open up another page here real quick. Actually, let me keep that page up. But I'm going to start a torn browser. Now, it's going to be problematic, but it's going to be helpful at the same time. Hold on. What the heck? Where's the browser at? All right, finally. I'm still waiting on my torn browser, guys. You know why I'm doing all this? This is when I really should. Hold on. I really should. Hey, what's up? Brother Scorpio in the house. Oh no, what did I do? Oh man. Now I gotta go and find this stupid. Oh, there it is. I want to keep that in frame. Hold on. I'm trying to open up this other browser. Okay. You know, ever since the EU, man, it is going good. It's going good. Been working on the rehab, the remodel. So I've been doing a little bit of that. Hold on. Most DMOC. Oh man. I want to go past Google and all of its stuff to kind of get the right information tonight. The 10 best companies for heirloom and non. See, I don't want This one's too veggie. I want GMO. I want GMO seeds. Top 7 genetically modified crops. Transgenic soy plant. What the hell is a transgenic soy plant? See, I really want to get into the meat and issues of it, Scorpion, so that people don't understand, like for instance, hold on. Let me go, I want to show something to you, brothers. I'm going to go here. I want to show you something that's years old. Hold on. Any day now. I want you to see the years. Now, mind you, this is a couple of years after Unity. Hold on. What's the heck's going on? Oh, now I gotta adjust the camera. Hopefully you can see the date. See that? Now that's the song. This is 8 years old. Actually, it's really 10 years, but well, I'll give it 8. All right, hold on. Then I'll play the song for you. But listen to this song and tell me if it's not true today. Like I said, I've been trying to warn people for a very long time. Put it that way. Hold on. So I can get it in Unity globally. It's me. This doesn't matter, really. Mocha. Why do people not care if they're breathing poisonous air, getting injected with mercury, drinking poison, don't you see? I tried to educate me. You must open up your mind, open up your heart, open up your very soul. It's getting dark on this planet, don't you see? The Illuminati, the beast, baby. They're getting bigger, getting bolder, getting stronger. Every day, every hour, every second, don't you understand me? If you don't resist them, you will be subjugated to their will, to their very whims, my friend. Don't you understand? Don't you see, my friend? It's time for unity globally. You, baby, it's me, Mr. Limo Chow in the wilderness sea, trying to break through to you and you too, so we can be united, boo. Take back this planet, see, from these Illuminati hypocrites. Their lives don't apply to them, it only applies to us, the little people, I guess. The little people, I guess. You, the people. Now, should I call you a sheeple? Bad, you're the people. Don't you understand your power, my friend? Don't you see we can overcome this dumb? We can win, we can really win this war for terror. Oh yes, once more, we can win, we can have victory if you just unite with me. Unite, then fight. These fools, Luciferians, right? It's up to you. It's up to me. Unity globally for all of humanity. It's more than just a slogan. It's more than just a saying. It's reality, my friend. That's reality. That we have a shot to win. Unite tonight. Unite tonight. Fight, fight, fight. These fools in this light. Fight them with all of your might. Fight them, for you are right. Fight them, and you will have victory. Unity. Oh, unity. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, my friends. We will win. Here's the reality. We have a polarized society that has access to weaponry like this, and trust me, I can just scroll down forever, dude. I mean, just forever. All right. All of these little pea shooters does not even compel in comparison to what the military truly has. But there are some citizens with this weaponry out there. They're not going to last long. The moment you don't have bullets for that, it becomes useless. And there's not infinite supply. And they actually got a UNICEF ad on this website. Let me go to the deep web. We're gonna see some stuff tonight. Now here's the links. My computer's running everything tonight. Don't allow. So we can pretty much go wherever. If you try to visit, now you must protect it. Okay, well, perhaps we won't. Let me jump off of that. Let me go to where I normally go. And we're going to see what's really cracking. Like right now. Well, looky there. Now, what does this reinforce? It reinforces that if you're a certain way, it's okay. This is Key and Peele. Greetings, Sister Hunt. You know, I think I remember that. In fact, I know I did a show about that executive order. It gives the president authority over the internet, all the utilities, all like the water, everything. Forced vaccinations, the whole 9 yards. And I went to, there was a story up here earlier about vaccinations. You see, what we're headed to really fast and in a hurry is a medical / tyrannical situation. You know that they do all kinds of experiments on a sister. You know they do. Whether we know it or not, it's irrelevant. There's case study after case study, from Tuskegee to spraying the juice over major cities. That's what these people do. Hold on. There we go. Right here, this story. New York County declares measles emergency. And they're contributing this to people who are not wanting to vaccinate their children as if they are the root cause of it. But once again, no one questions Big Pharma, who has the laboratories, have access to mutated strands of it. If they could put together something and expose the public to it so that they can increase their profits. No one ever talks about that. And I think I understand why. Biden rips white man's culture. Come on, man. These people are just so utterly fake. Let's check the other side of the news. Same with the Trump's national emergency. First, $1 billion taken from the military. And we talked about this the other day, about how that new base in Coronado for our special forces isn't getting built because they're taking that money for the wall. The Army Corps of Engineering is going to be quite busy. This isn't really the main. I mean, look at all those law enforcement officers. This is crazy. This is coming from the BBC.
Dear Tech.
Let's talk.
Well, I have a pretty good one.
No, I'm not going to listen to their advertisement. Blah, 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 etc., etc. No copyright ban here.
As president, the protection
Hold on one second. Let's play
of
this.
The nation is my highest duty. Yesterday, Congress passed a dangerous resolution that, if signed into law, would put countless Americans in danger, very grave danger. The Democrat-sponsored resolution would terminate vital border security operations by revoking the national emergency issued last month. It is definitely a national emergency. Rarely have we had such a national emergency. Therefore, to defend the safety and security of all Americans, I will be signing and issuing a formal veto of this reckless resolution, and that's what it was.
Okay, let me elaborate to the June 15th thing. Hold on. There it is. When did the nation of Israel become a state?
Israel was founded in 1948.
Let's go. May 14th. Boom. That'll be what, the 72 years on May 14th that Israel's really been in existence. We all know the generation that sees Israel restored will not all pass away before, basically he returns. So in order for the Zionists to complete their prophecies on a timely schedule, boom. More than likely, around 14th of May, or shortly before there, they're going to announce construction of that temple. And because the temple's prefab, they'll probably have the damn thing built before the 15th of June. And then it's just game on at that point. Oh, also, hold on. National debt clock. You see that? That's totally unsustainable. The whole world is like that. All of it's unsustainable. That's why. We have too many random variables coming together right now that were not stopped, that were not addressed. We have the variable of all the stock markets that are held up by fiat currencies all around the world. People are waking up to this reality that the money that they love and worship and hold so dear is basically pulling out of the thin air and made into money. Is that why they just had their ceremony on the third temple and the seating? Yeah. Yes. Listen. Hold on. Let me go back. Will the red heifer be confirmed? The red heifer. Now this was in September. Return to Red Faction Fiction, blah blah blah. And this is September. This is so. Hold on. The Temple Institute, the Order of the Burning of the Red Heifer. Now the red heifer ain't meant to live, y'all. It's gonna be sacrificed. Look at those shoes. They're so Edomitish. But that's cool. Hold on. Let me expand this a little bit better. Precautions and preparations. The dispute with the laws of Moses from Sinai. Yeah, I'm going to be extremely careful. I am not going to say nothing irrelevant or degrading or nothing like that. Even though it does kind of upset me a little bit. It's sort of like when I look at these folks, it's sort of like Elizabeth Warren is vindicated. You know, I mean, like, I don't know, man. But the thing is, we understand. Hold on. Zionist plan for Israel. That's, there we go.
Here's a summary from Rational Wiki. Greater Israel is a Zionist conspiracy theory that Israel will one day expand and rule Palestine, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, half of Iraq, Egypt east of the Nile River.
And what did Trump just give them? Golan Heights. So, I would play these videos, but I don't want to. I will post this link. So if you all have your Google, you can follow me. Oh, I can't post the link, huh? I don't know if this will work. I'll send it in the chat room, but I'll see if it works. Yeah, it still works. Cool. So,
You and your team need to get things done.
Shut up and sit down. Inner Plan. Introduction by Michael Sudowski.
The following document pertaining to the formation of Greater Israel constitutes the cornerstone of powerful Zionist factions within the current Netanyahu government, the Likud party, as well as within the Israeli military and intelligence establishment. In recent developments, President Donald Trump has confirmed his support of Israel's illegal settlements and his opposition to United Nations Security Council Resolution 2334, which confirms the illegality of the Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank. According to the founding father of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, quote, "The area of the Jewish state stretches from the brook of Egypt to the Euphrates," end quote. According to Rabbi Fishman, quote, "The promised land extends from the river of Egypt up to the Euphrates. It includes parts of Syria and Lebanon," end quote. When viewed in the current context, the war on Iraq, the 2006 war on Lebanon, the 2011 war on Libya, the ongoing wars on Syria and Iraq, the war on Yemen, the process of regime change in Egypt, must be understood in relation to the Zionist plan for the Middle East. The latter consists in weakening and eventually fracturing neighboring Arab states as part of an Israeli expansionist project. Bear in mind, this design is not strictly a Zionist plan. It is an integral part of US foreign policy, namely Washington's intent to fracture and balkanize the Middle East. Greater Israel consists in an area extending from the Nile Valley to the Euphrates. According to Stefan Lehman, a century ago, the World Zionist Organization's plan.
That is the plan, and we can all see it being played out. Come on. All of the nations surrounding, except for Saudi Arabia, have been greatly weakened. Egypt, the Arab Spring, Libya, regime change, Syria, covert actions, Iran, sanctions and pressures, Iraq, straight up invaded. So we all see the plan. I'm telling you, it's going to come to fruition. You can take that however you want. It's going to happen because militarily it's possible, and the strength of the liberal world order is in their military, the force they can exert. The only thing stopping them has been basically, I guess, their own conscience, or perhaps even fear that of them being able to achieve their goal. You have to understand, the liberal world government has a place for a lot of different folks. But those folks ain't us. Not even as servants and housekeepers. I'm telling you, that's why this thing has been basically stifled or slowed down, so that cybernetics can catch up to the vision. What's up, Brother War? That's why we are the way we are. Now, once the cybernetics is good, the robots can do manual labor efficiently and effectively. Dude, it's green light. They literally do not need you. You are literally a threat at that point. Because you have no job, you really have no purpose. So why are you even on the earth? And I'm saying that the reason why you're on the earth is because this is your birthright. This is like a rest pit for your soul. This is where you should be at in the universe, and you should enjoy it. Not be underneath some technocracy, all wired up, soulless, hollow, empty shell, but able to explore the earth in the way that you see fit. Now, I know a lot of people have a problem with that. Oh, you ain't coming on my land, blah, blah, blah. But, I think we can work around that. But the way it's going now, there is no working through it. Time and time again, the society has been given opportunities to right its wrongs, but it doubles down. And I'm telling you, the next doubling down is going to be the straight up extermination of the useless eaters. And there's not going to be no one to stop it. Because many of those people were aborted that could potentially stop it. All it takes, 30% of the society that could be down, and it's a wrap. And a lot of people don't want to accept that, and they're like, oh my God. Is it, once again, this is not the end of the world. The world will continue. And where a lot of people fell short is that, and this is to my Hindu brothers and sisters. Some folks think that their family, their blood, is what ties their soul to that body. I'm telling you, it's all random. For those of you who believe in reincarnation, coming back, you will not necessarily come back in the bloodline that you find yourself in. You could potentially come back in any human form that's available at that particular moment in time. So for your reanimation back into this dimension. Now, other people don't believe in that, so it will not apply. The thing about it is, man, the racist hatred, the bigoted hatred, the sexual hatred is growing exponentially. It's growing for various reasons. One, we live in a society in general that values domination and power more so than intellect and servitude. It values death. But in reality, we are all in the process of dying. So that's neither here nor there. But we have to take this in totalitarian concept. Now you can understand why we can have chemical companies or drug manufacturers come out with drugs such as fen or other drugs that are detrimental to one's health, and with clear conscience put that on the market for people to ingest. Because there are some people that realize that you all are dying, and they just want to make a buck on you as you check out. Some want to make the long dollar. Some just want to make that fast, quick money. Chemotherapy and stuff. But if you really look at the way our medical situation put this in place, it's basically a state of fear. A state that when the patient goes in there, if medical techniques cannot cure or at least control their ailment, that all hope's lost. And I'm here to tell you, that's where the spiritual side can kick in. Well, healing can manifest in reality. It's not magic. Well, not in the traditional sense, anyhow. It's just the universal condition of life. Not everything can be explained scientifically, nor is it wise not to listen to the counsel of wise scientists that's standing on truth and not lies, because science is subject to lies just as anything is subject to lies. But the consequences when you believe the scientists and you ingest their concoction, believing it's going to help you, but it truly hurts you. Now, I want everyone to be aware. Probably within the next 2 weeks, there will be an event that we cannot ignore. That's going to be on to the lead up. Keep your eye on Brazil, as I've been saying, and keep your eye also now on Israel. Okay, Sister Hunt, it's really happening. Hold on, 3 days ago, they had a big ceremony to await the coming of their God in the building. Hold on. Who had the, do you have a link to this information or anything, Sister Hunt? It's already happening. I think that they were only waiting for one more of the holy relics, and they now have it. Let's hope not. No, I wish I could send you the link, but I have trouble doing that on the... Oh, damn it. Yes. It is difficult on the cell phone. Okay, hold on. Let's try to backtrack this, then. Holy relic found on the Mount Temple. Or Temple Mount, rather. Hold on. Holy relic found on the Temple Mount.
According to Smithsonian Magazine, among Muslims, the Temple Mount is called Haram al-Sharif. They believe it was here that the Prophet Muhammad ascended to the divine presence on the back of a winged horse, the miraculous night journey, commemorated by one of Islam's architectural triumphs, the Dome of the Rock Shrine.
Okay, that's not exactly what I was looking for, but kind of gets us in the ballpark, I guess. I know they've been looking for all kinds of ancient relics, and people think, oh, they just want to put it in a museum. No, some of these relics still have considerable amount of power. That's one thing that kills me. How certain people they don't believe in psychic energy. It's just, kinetic energy, things they can see, and they don't believe in the spiritual side. And I get it, but when you see the effect. Hold on. All right, I appreciate that, sister. Hold on. No man found the relic. I sent that. What are the 3 holy relics? Shroud Torah. Fitting wood. And see, all that stuff's fake, man. I'm telling you straight now, it's fake. That stuff's all fake. Oh, hold on. Ancient black scientists. Hold on. There was something dude sent me. That right there. Oh no. Hold on. I want to... Oh, here it is. I want you to check this out. This is some crazy stuff.
You're losing perspective and compassion. There's a reason you're out there with a partner that's 20 years younger than you.
Thousands of years ago, on this planet we call Earth, our planet was visited by various groups of extraterrestrial humanoid beings. These extraterrestrial humanoid beings had to leave their planet and seek refuge here on Earth because their home planet had been destroyed by evil. When these extraterrestrial humanoid beings arrived on Earth, they chose to take residence inside the center of the Earth, because the surface of the Earth was inhabited by human beings. At this point in time in Earth's history, The human beings who lived on the surface of the earth were all of one tribe, the Ebenoid tribe. Since they live inside the earth, these extraterrestrial beings have now become interterrestrial beings. The center of the earth where these interterrestrial beings reside also contains an inner sun. The inner earth has been called by a variety of names by cultures around the world, including Shambhala by Buddhist, Agartha by Tibetans, Kurnuji by the ancient Mesopotamians, the Duat or Aminta by the ancient Egyptians, Hades or the underworld by Europeans, Xibalba by the Mayans, and in modern times, the concept of the inner earth has given rise to what is called the hollow earth theory. Unbeknownst to many human beings, the activities of these beings which reside inside the earth has affected the course of human history and human development. The first and most noble of the beings which resides inside the earth is called the Shayuk. Compared to human beings, the Shayuk would be considered geniuses with exceptional intelligence, and telepathic and telekinetic abilities. The Shayuk have a dark brown skin complexion, they are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall, and their heads, brains, and cranial capacity is much wider and larger than the average human. The Shayuk come to the earth's surface occasionally to teach and to trade with certain tribes of human beings. The teachings of the Shayuk are so profound that when they come to the earth's surface to teach, they are often called deities, gods, priests, prophets, messengers, and seers, and because of this fact, the Shayuk have strict laws which limit the interaction of Shayuk tribal members' contact with the humans on the surface. The Shayuk commonly interact and have mixed in with the surface world humans called the Danakil or Danakil, also known as the Afar people, in present-day Eritrea, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The chief of the Shayuk is named King Fukur, and his daughter is named Princess Radiya, and 2 of his brothers are named Amo and Yishak, who has always been jealous of his brother King Fukur. King Fukur's brother Amo had fallen in love with a surface-dwelling human female, and he would sneak to the surface world to visit her, and would also pass himself off to the surface-dwelling humans as a psychic and a magician, and for these acts, Amo was exiled to live on the surface, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. As long as the people in the inner earth spent most of their life in the inner earth, then they will not die. However, to be exiled to the surface world means a person from inner earth will eventually die like the mortals on the surface. In the caverns adjacent to the Shayuk, resides another group of nobles called the Sinin. The Sinin are also highly intelligent, but also have a fighting spirit. The Sinin are between 5 feet to 7 feet tall and have a variety of complexions from yellow to brown, and they are hairless and are most noted for their cone-shaped heads. The Sinin commonly interact and have mixed with surface world humans including the ancient Egyptians, the Olmecs in present-day Central America, the Mangitog people in the African Congo, and the Paracas people in Peru. The chief of the Sinin is named King Lamsa, and his daughter is named Princess Lucina, and his son is named Prince Atif. One of the wretched group of beings which resides inside the earth is called the Samin. The Samin are grotesquely obese, pale, with long elephant-like noses, and are very negative and aggressive. The Samin were actually the manifested evil grafted out of the Sinin on their home world prior to these beings arriving on Earth. Since the Samin were grafted out of the Sinin, it is the responsibility of the Sinin to police and keep in check the evil activities of the Samin. It is said that an American named Richard Sharpshaver encountered the Sinin and called them the Turos, meaning interrogative robot, and he also encountered the Samin and called them Duros, meaning detrimental robot. One day, the wretched Samin raided and invaded the village of the Shayuk, stealing food and terrorizing the Shayuk family. When King Fukur found out about this invasion by the Samin, he sent a telepathic message to King Lamsa stating that the Sinin has neglected their responsibility to keep the Samin in check, because the Samin were currently raiding and invading the village of the Shayuk. Upon receiving the telepathic message from King Fukur, King Lamsa went with his brethren to the caverns of the Shayuk to stop the invasion by the Samin and to drive the Samin back to whence they came. After driving the Samin away from the lands of the Shayuk, King Lamsa apologized to King Fukur, but tension remained between the Shayuk and the Sinin for some time after the incident. In order to make peace between the Shayuk and the Sinin, King Lamsa offered his daughter Princess Lucina to be a wife of King Fukur. King Fukur accepted the peace offering from King Lamsa, and in turn offered his daughter Princess Radiya to be the wife of King Lamsa's son Prince Atif, as was the custom, and there was peace in the land for some time between the two tribes of the Shayuk and the Sinin. However, King Lamsa's daughter Princess Lucina was angered and outraged because she did not want her father to give her away to be the wife of the Shayuk King Fukur. Princess Lucina felt like an outcast and out of place living amongst the Shayuk people, and she did not like living by the strict laws of the Shayuk people. Princess Lucina always wanted to marry a man from her own people the Sinin, and she did not want to be married to a Shayuk man. One day Princess Lucina, now the unhappy wife of King Fuqur, met Yashak, the jealous brother of King Fuqur, and they conspired together based on their hatred for King Fuqur to have an illicit sexual affair together behind the back of King Fuqur. Princess Lucina and Yashak would travel to the surface world to the home of Emo, the exiled brother of King Fuqur and Yashak, and it is here where they would have their illicit affair. This affair between Princess Lucina and Yashak went on for months, with them sneaking back and forth from the inner earth to the surface world, remain at the home of Emo, and Yashak would stay with her. It was here in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where the child Yaqub was born to Yashak and Princess Lucina. The child Yaqub, being part Shayuk and part Sinin, had an enormous head the size of 2 men, and he also had 2 brains. Knowing that they could not return to the inner earth because their affair had now produced a child, Yashak and Princess Lucina decided to live and raise the baby Yaqub for 5 years in the home of Emo, 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Yaqub's father Yashak would work as a scientist and a priest amongst the humans on the surface, calling himself by the title Mornuakan, the last high priest. Back in inner earth, Yashak and Princess Lucina had been missing for years, and eventually it was found out by King Fuqur about the affair between his wife Princess Lucina and his brother Yashak. King Fuqur ordered his soldiers to go to the home of his brother Emo and arrest Yashak for his crime, and according to the laws of the Shayuk, Yashak was put to death. Princess Lucina's life was spared because she now had a child to take care of, but her punishment was to remain exiled to the surface world, living in the home of Emo, and to never return to inner earth. Depressed about her inability to return home, overwhelmed by her new responsibility to raise a child, and saddened by the death of her lover Yashak, Princess Lucina kills herself by committing suicide. The 5-year-old child Yaqub, now an orphan, is raised by his uncle Emo, and the child Yaqub is emotionally disturbed and rebellious because of the death of his parents. The child Yaqub grows to hate his people, the Shayuk, and he also grows to hate all dark-complexioned people because he blames them for the death of his parents. The child Yaqub desires to have his revenge when he grows up. Yaqub starts school at the age of 4, and is teased and mocked about the size of his head by the surface-dwelling human children. This mockery and teasing about the size of his head that Yaqub experienced as a child created low self-esteem, and further infuriated the already deranged Yaqub, fueling his desire for revenge. Yaqub's uncle Emo would tell Yaqub stories about the beings in the inner earth and how the Samin were the manifestation of the evil grafted out of Yaqub's mother's family, the Sinin. One day, when Yaqub was 6 years old, he was playing with 2 steel magnets in the home of his uncle Emo, and Yaqub noticed the magnetic power of attraction and repulsion that unlike attracts, and like repels. By observing this, Yaqub was inspired with a determined idea to create a tribe unlike any of the people on the surface of the planet, and this unlike tribe would be weak and wicked, and attract the other tribes on the surface of the planet, and rule over them with the knowledge of tricks and lies for 6,000 years. Upon coming to this realization, Yaqub looked up at his uncle Emo and said, "Uncle, when I get to be an old man, I am going to make a people who shall rule you." Uncle Emo said, "What will you make?" "Someone to make mischief and cause bloodshed in the land." Yaqub responded to his uncle Emo by saying, "Nevertheless, uncle, I know that which you do not know," and it was at that moment, the boy Yaqub first came into the knowledge of just who he was, born to make trouble, break peace, kill and destroy, and be the enemy to the Ebenoid people of Earth. Yaqub knew in order to accomplish his plan he would have to study science, biology, and genetics. Yaqub was a child prodigy in school, being exceptionally smarter than the surface-dwelling humans he was going to school with, and by the age of 18, Yaqub had finished all of the colleges and universities of his nation. While in college, Yaqub was mocked and teased, being called the big head scientist. After graduating from the colleges and universities of his nation, Yaqub began to preach a new doctrine to the people in the city. Yaqub called his new doctrine Tricknology, and his holy book was called the Book of Tricknology of 120 Degrees. Yaqub taught that if people followed his doctrine, then they would be able to rule the world for 6,000 years, and make slaves out of everyone else on the earth. Yaqub made such impressions on the people that many people began following him. The children who once mocked and teased Yaqub were now requesting to be part of what he was teaching. The girls who once laughed at Yaqub were now women who desired him. As Yaqub's teachings spread, he made more and more converts to his new doctrine, and the power of Yaqub's doctrine began to intimidate the king of the surface-dwelling humans, who ordered to have Yaqub and all of his followers thrown in prison. The police arrested all of Yaqub's followers and put them in prison, and filled up all of the prison cells with Yaqub's followers. However, there was not enough space to put all of Yaqub's followers in jail. Therefore, there were still some people free who were spreading Yaqub's teachings. The police notified the king that they did not have enough space for all of Yaqub's followers, and at that point the king decided to go to Yaqub's prison cell and negotiate a deal. The king went to visit Yaqub in his prison cell and the king said, "So you are Mr. Yaqub?" Yaqub said, "Yes, I am." The king said, "Yaqub, I have come to see if we could work out some agreement that would bring about an end to this trouble. What would you suggest?" Yaqub said to the king, "If you give me and my followers everything to start a civilization, and furnish us with money and other necessities of life for 20 years, I will take my followers and we will leave." The king was pleased with the deal offered by Yaqub, and agreed to take care of them for 20 years, until Yaqub's followers were able to go for themselves. After 20 years, the government began to make preparation for the exiling of Yaqub and his followers. The king ordered everyone rounded up who was a believer in Yaqub's doctrine, and they took them to the seaport and loaded them on ships. When Yaqub and his followers departed, there were a total of 59,999 followers plus Yaqub, making 60,000 total people on 100 ships. Yaqub and his fleet of ships departed from an area 20 miles outside of the present-day city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and set sail on the Red Sea, and sailed all the way around the continent of Africa to go to their destination, which was the area which is currently called the island of Patmos, or Palam, in the Aegean Sea. While on the ships sailing around Africa to get to the area which is currently called the island of Patmos, Yaqub began the second part of his plan, which was a eugenics human graftation experiment. Even though all of the people on the surface of the earth were of one tribe, the Ebenoid tribe, there was still some variation within the Ebenoid tribe, and Yaqub began to highlight these differences, and Yaqub taught these people that they were special, because Yaqub planned to use them to graft his new tribe. Yaqub developed his theory by studying his own genetics under the microscope and noticing that there were two different genes in him, one gene that was dark from his father Yishak's family, the Shayuk, and the other that was not dark from his mother Princess Lucina's family, the Sinin. Yaqub began to have children with the women on this ship, and the babies which were born that were a lighter complexion he would spare their life, but the babies which were born which were of a darker complexion, Yaqub would have thrown overboard into the ocean. Yaqub felt if he could successfully separate the darker gene from the lighter gene, then he could graft the Ebenoid tribe into its last stage, which would be albinoid. Yaqub planned to create a tribe of albinoids, which he discovered was weaker than the Ebenoid gene, which would be unalike, to rule the Ebenoid nation for 6,000 years. When Yaqub's followers found out about his new wicked plan, and learned that he was killing and throwing babies overboard into the ocean, 95% of his followers lost their loyalty to Yaqub, and abandoned his mission and jumped ship. As Yaqub's fleet of ships sailed around Africa, people who lost loyalty to his mission would jump ship into the areas which are now Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Djibouti, Somalia, Mozambique, Namibia, Senegal, Morocco, and Tunisia. 10% of the original 60,000 of Yaqub's followers betrayed Yaqub and jumped ship. 85% of the original 60,000 of Yaqub's followers jumped ship because they were confused why he would do such a horrible thing, leaving only 5% of the original 60,000 of Yaqub's followers who actually made it to their destination of the island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea. As king on his island, Yaqub set up birth control and Planned Parenthood laws which would contribute to his plan of negative eugenics and genocide to breed his albinoid tribe. Yaqub made it a law that only the lighter complexion people could have children. People with darker complexions were put to death, and when children were born, nurses were ordered to have the darker babies killed by pricking the brains with a sharp needle as soon as the child's head was out of the mother, but the lighter babies were allowed to live. Yaqub's aim was to kill and destroy the Ebenoid nation. Yaqub would have the dead bodies of the darker babies fed to wild beasts, and if they could not find a wild beast to feed the bodies to, they would take the dead bodies of the babies to a cremator to be burned. This is the level of intense hatred Yaqub had in his heart. This process went on for years on Yaqub's island as Yaqub trained his sons and grandsons to carry on his work after he died. Yaqub died at the age of 150 years old from a brain tumor. As the father of technology, Yaqub taught his people a doctrine which would enable them to rule the world for 6,000 years. Yaqub also taught his people that God is a spirit and a spook and not a man, and Yaqub was the founder of the doctrine that unalike attracts and like repels. After 200 years on Yaqub's island, all of the darker babies had been done away with, and all babies were born of a new tribe called the Rubetoid tribe. After another 200 years, all babies were born of an even newer tribe called the Citrinoid tribe. And finally, after another 200 years, which makes 600 years total, all the babies born on Yaqub's island were of Yaqub's desired albinoid tribe. It took 600 years to breed Yaqub's albinoid tribe, and every imagination of their heart and all of their actions were wicked continuously. The evilness of the albinoids not only affected themselves, but also affected the other peoples of the world. Yaqub's albinoids returned to the city where they were exiled from. Once back in the city, it took only 6 months for Yaqub's albinoids to cause chaos and war amongst the Ebenoid people. The king of the Ebenoid people realized that it was Yaqub's albinoids who were causing all the trouble, and the king made a decree to drive Yaqub's evil albinoids from amongst them. The king rounded up all of Yaqub's albinoids and stripped them of their clothing, and put an apron on them to hide their nakedness, and sent his army with them across the desert to cross the burning sands into the place which is modern-day Europe. Yaqub's albinoids were roped into the mountains and caves, and the king's army would patrol the area to make sure Yaqub's albinoids stayed in the mountains and caves for 2,000 years to ensure that these people are kept away from the Ebenoid people. During this 2,000-year period living in the mountains and caves without anything to start civilization, Yaqub's albinoids became shameless, and lost all sense of shame and started going nude, and in the winter they wore animal skins for clothes and grew hair all over their bodies and faces like all the other wild animals. Yaqub's albinoids tamed the wolves and dogs to live in the caves with them, and after some time the dog held a high place among their family, becoming their best friend. After 2,000 years of living in the caves, the wickedness of Yaqub's albinoids was observed, and an Ebenoid man named Moshe was sent to civilize them. Moshe led Yaqub's albinoids out of the caves. However, once out of the caves, Yaqub's albinoids killed Moshe. Free from the caves, Yaqub's albinoids went on a rampage throughout the earth, conquering and subjecting the Ebenoid people, pitting one against the other using the idea of divide and conquer. Yaqub's albinoids began to execute Yaqub's plan for them to rule the world for 6,000 years. A man named Mahamdu attempted to teach Yaqub's albinoids to convince them to end their devilishment. However, this was still 1,400 years before the end of Yaqub's albinoids' 6,000-year period of dominion over the earth. And so, Yaqub's albinoids ruled the earth for 6,000 years, spreading their devilishment, evil, pain, suffering, and oppression to the Ebenoid people of the earth as designed by the big head scientist Yaqub. The events of Yaqub occurred approximately 6,600 years ago, and the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth foresaw the birth of Yaqub 15,000 years ago. This history, or future, of Yaqub and his people was predicted and foretold by the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth 8,400 years before the birth of Yaqub. The 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth were aware of the birth of Yaqub, and they were aware of the things Yaqub would do before Yaqub was even born. The 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth predicted that in the year 8,400, this man Yaqub would be born, and when this man was born, he will change civilization in the world, and produce a new tribe of people, who would rule the original Ebenoid people for 6,000 years, from the 9,000th year to the 15,000th year. After the 6,000-year rule of Yaqub's people, the Ebenoid people would give birth to one whose wisdom, knowledge and power would be infinite. One whom the world would recognize as being the greatest and mightiest since the creation of the universe, and that Yaqub's old warring wicked world would be removed and destroyed, and the Ebenoid nation would be restored into power to rule forever and to establish a world of peace and righteousness. This great redeemer of the Ebenoid people, who was predicted by the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth to bring balance back into the world, is known under many names, titles, and attributes, including He who has no equal, He who there never was anyone like, the Supreme Being, the Mighty, the Wise, the Best Knower, the Light, the Life Giver, the Guide, the All-Powerful, He who knows how to reproduce the universe and the people of his choice. But his mother calls him Yashmal. Yashmal was the son of Princess Radiya of the Shayuk family, and Prince Atif the Sinin family. Yashmal's parents, Princess Radiya and Prince Atif, married each other in order to establish peace between their two quarreling tribes. However, the union of Princess Radiya and Prince Atif was more than mere chance. Their union was specifically guided, selected, and arranged by the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth, who were also genetic engineers. They knew that the offspring of the union between Princess Radiya and Prince Atif would be the personification of order to balance out and offset the chaos of Yaqub, who was the offspring of Yishak and Princess Lusana. Yashmal began his education on the day he was born, as is the custom amongst members of the Shayuk. It would be unheard of for a member of the Shayuk to wait until the age of 4 to start school unless the child was mentally handicapped. Being part Shayuk and part Sinin, Yashmal's head was noticeably larger than the other members of the Shayuk and Sinin. Yashmal had an enormous head, 2 brains, and a third enlarged pineal gland which sat in the center of his 2 brains, making the top of his head appearing to be shaped like 3 orbs. Amongst the Shayuk and Sinin, Yashmal would be called the big head scientist. However, amongst these tribes, this statement was not taken to be an insult, but rather a compliment, alluding to the individual's intelligence in the same way that saying big muscles alludes to an individual's strength. Since Yashmal was raised in his native land amongst his people who looked like him, he did not suffer from the same ridicule, mockery, and low self-esteem which plagued his cousin Yaqub, who grew up in a foreign land amongst other than self and kind. As a child, Yashmal was an exceptional prodigy and a genius. Yashmal was also told stories of the evil activities which transpired at the hands of his cousin Yaqub. One day, when Yashmal was 9 years old, he was playing with 2 electromagnets in the home of his grandfather King Fukur, and noticed that electrons flowing in the same direction through 2 electromagnets would create the magnetic phenomenon of attraction, and that electrons flowing in opposite directions through 2 electromagnets would create the magnetic phenomenon of repulsion. By observing this, Yashmal realized that like flowing energies create attraction and unlike flowing energies create repulsion. Thus, Yashmal was inspired with a determined idea to direct the flow of mental energy of the Ebenoid people of the planet in the same direction so that the Ebenoid people of the planet will be unified again to be strong and righteous, and bring peace and balance back to the earth forever. Upon coming to this realization, Yashmal looked up at his grandfather King Fukur and said, "Grandfather, when I get older, I am going to make a people strong and righteous, and I will eliminate the devilishment which has come into the world to show and prove real power and wisdom, and bring back peace and supreme balancement forever." Grandfather King Fukur said, "What will you make? Someone to establish order and cause harmony in the world." Yashmal said, "Man plans, and I plan, and surely I am the better planner." And it was at that moment, the boy Yashmal first came into the knowledge of just who he was, born to establish order, bring peace, build, create, and be the redeemer to the Ebenoid peoples of Earth. It is common for members of the Shayuk tribe to finish all of the coursework taught in all of the colleges and universities of the surface world by age 9, but Yashmal finished by age 7. If it took a member of the Shayuk tribe until age 18 to finish all of the coursework taught in all of the colleges and universities of the surface world, then that person would surely be looked at as being mentally handicapped or mentally retarded. Yashmal finished all of the advanced universal sciences which are taught by the schools in the inner earth by the time he was age 12, even though it is common to finish this coursework by age 15, but Yashmal was a genius and a prodigy. After finishing school, Yashmal met with the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth and told them of his intention to travel to the surface world as a bringer of peace and redeemer of the Ebenoid people. Yashmal was tried and tested by the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth, and once found worthy, at age 18, Yashmal traveled to the area presently known as the Mwanza region near the countries of Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya in Africa. Yashmal called his new doctrine Teachnology, and his holy book was called the Book of Teachnology of 720 Degrees, which was in a question and answer format designed to get the mental energies of the listeners flowing in the same direction, which would in turn create unity, harmony, and attraction amongst kindred. Yashmal's new doctrine was so powerful that he had millions of people from all of the tribes on the earth coming to hear his message and aspiring to be a part of his mission. However, from the millions of followers that he gained on the surface of the earth, Yashmal only selected 144,000, which he called the chosen few, to be a part of the next phase of his plan, and when Yashmal and his chosen few departed, he told the people on the surface of the earth he would be back in one day. So Yashmal selected 41,150 Ebenoid females and 41,140 Ebenoid males for a total of 82,290 people from the original Ebenoid tribe. Yashmal selected 10,285 Rubedoid females and 10,285 Rubedoid males for a total of 20,570 people from the Rubedoid tribe. Yashmal selected 10,285 Citrinoid females and 10,285 Citrinoid males for a total of 20,570 people from the Citrinoid tribe. And Yashmal selected 10,285 albinoid females and 10,285 albinoid males for a total of 20,570 people from the albinoid tribe, which made 144,000 people total. Yashmal took his followers into the inner earth through an opening beneath the Great Lake in the present-day area known as the Mwanza region in Africa to begin his eugenics genetic engineering experiment of grafting the various tribes of people on the earth back into the original Ebenoid tribe. Yashmal, being a master genetic engineer who was all-wise, right, and exact, knew that it was not necessary to kill anyone in order to accomplish his goal because he had knowledge of the science of dominant and recessive genes. Knowing that the Ebenoid tribe was the first, then Yashmal knew the Ebenoid gene would be the most dominant, followed by the Rubetoid gene, followed by the Citrinoid gene, and lastly followed by the Albinoid gene. While inside the inner earth with his followers, Yashmal applied the science of dominant and recessive genes to design and engineer a system of arranged marriages by which the offspring born from each arranged marriage would have certain desirable qualities, and in time over a period of 900 years, all of the derivative tribes would have been grafted back into the original Ebenoid tribe. Yashmal also observed that the gene of the Ebenoid woman was the most dominant gene, and so Yashmal established the following rules of arranged marriages amongst his followers. 10,285 Ebenoid women and 10,285 Ebenoid men would marry to keep the Ebenoid gene strong and pure. 10,285 Ebenoid women would marry 10,285 Rubetoid men. 10,285 Ebenoid women would marry 10,285 Citrinoid men. 10,285 Ebenoid women would marry 10,285 Albinoid men. 10,285 Ebenoid men would marry 10,285 Rubetoid women. 10,285 Ebenoid men would marry 10,285 Citrinoid women. 10,285 Ebenoid men would marry 10,285 Albinoid women. Yashmal would also keep 10 Ebenoid women as wives for himself. The men and women were required to get married by age 19, and each couple were to have 2 children. Living in the inner earth where he was from, Yashmal was continuously regenerated and rejuvenated and did not die like his cousin Yaqub on the surface of the earth. Yashmal was able to teach, socialize, laugh, play with the children, enjoy life, and observe the generations and progression of his followers over the centuries. The offspring of the Ebenoid woman and the Ebenoid man would always be Ebenoid. The offspring of the Ebenoid woman and the Rubetoid man would also be Ebenoid because of the strength of the Ebenoid woman's genes. The offspring of the Ebenoid woman and the Citrinoid man would be Ebenoid 75% of the time, and Rubetoid 25% of the time, because of the strength of the Ebenoid woman's genes. The offspring of the Ebenoid woman and the Albinoid man would be Ebenoid 75% of the time, and Citrinoid 25% of the time, because of the strength of the Ebenoid woman's genes. The offspring of the Ebenoid man and the Rubetoid woman would be Ebenoid 75% of the time, and Rubetoid 25% of the time. The offspring of the Ebenoid man and the Citrinoid woman would be Rubetoid. The offspring of the Ebenoid man and the Albinoid woman would be Citrinoid. With the laws of arranged marriages in place, it would take Yashmal's chosen 144,000 people 46 generations over the course of 900 years to be grafted back into the original Ebenoid tribe. During this time, for some generations recessive genes would tumble forward. After 12 generations, all of the Albinoids had been grafted back into the Citrinoid, Rubetoid, and Ebenoid tribes. After another 16 generations, all of the Citrinoids had been grafted back into the Rubetoids and Ebenoids. After another 18 generations, all of the Rubetoids had been grafted back into the Ebenoids, leaving only the original Ebenoid tribe. It was also observed that after 4 generations, if the Albinoids refused to mix in, then they would be unable to conceive offspring after the 4th generation. After 8 generations, if the Citrinoids refused to mix in, then they would be unable to conceive offspring after the 8th generation. After 16 generations, if the Rubetoids refused to mix in, then they would be unable to conceive offspring after the 16th generation. Just like electrons flowing from atoms with more electrons to atoms with fewer electrons, it was necessary for the derivative tribes to mix back into the original Ebenoid tribe in order to get recharged and sustain and maintain their existence. However, because of the science of recessive and dominant genes, by mixing back into the original Ebenoid tribe, the derivative tribes would eventually be grafted back into the original Ebenoid tribe in time, leaving only the original Ebenoid tribe on the surface of the planet. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. And so Yashmal smiled at this fact, now having knowledge that the evil acts done by his cousin Yaqub would be reversed just by letting nature take its course. The process of grafting the derivative tribes back into the original Ebenoid tribe took 900 years, and once completed, Yashmal took another 100 years to teach and train his followers how to control and conquer the evil which existed within themselves, rather than attempting to graft the evil out, letting it manifest and personify as a being. After the 1,000-year period with Yashmal in the inner earth, Yashmal returned to the surface of the earth to the area presently known as the Mwanza region in Africa with 144,000 Ebenoid people. When Yashmal and his 144,000 followers returned, the people on the surface of the earth said, "Yashmal, you said you would be gone for one day, and you were true to your word. You have only been gone for 1 day, but many of the people you have returned with are not the same people you left with. What have you done with our brothers and sisters? One of the Ebenoid women named Kedara, who was one of Yashmal's wives and one of the 144,000, spoke up and said, I am the daughter and great descendant of your brothers and sisters, which it seems to you left with Yashmal just yesterday, but we have been with Yashmal in the inner earth for 1,000 years, and Yashmal has taught us the science of genetics and how to rid the world of evil, as well as how to conquer the evil within ourselves. Yashmal spoke and said, Indeed, 1 day in the inner earth can be like 1,000 years. Yashmal's 144,000 followers then proceeded to teach the Ebenoid people on the surface of the earth the way to defeat the evil currently plaguing the earth in the same way that Yashmal had taught them. Yashmal returned to the inner earth with his Ebenoid wife Kedara. After returning to the inner earth, Yashmal was elected to a seat as one of the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth. Yashmal taught Kedara the secret to eternal life, and they had many children together. Yashmal told Kedara that the Ebenoid woman is the human representative of nature on the surface of the earth, and thus the Ebenoid woman is the key to destroying the evil plaguing the surface of the earth, and she is the key to bringing peace and balance back to the surface of the earth. Yashmal told Kedara that it was not him who the 24 wise elder scientists of the inner earth had prophesied about, it was her, the Ebenoid woman. Yashmal told Kedara that he was merely a conduit to allow her to bring balance back to the earth. And so while the big head scientist Yashmal's followers execute his plan on the surface of the earth, Yashmal and Kedara wait with their family in the inner earth for the hereafter, that is to say, here on earth, after evil has been removed, and peace and balance has been restored.
I thought that was a pretty little interesting little flick. I guess the point is that there's all these different doctrines out here, all these different stories. You know, Yaku and all that makes just as much sense to some as, you know, the Hispanic creations theory coming out of the cave. So, what's to say? Now, I'm falling asleep. That meaning Jacob and Samuel's from the air. Oh, Brother Albert's in the house. I guess I have to go to sleep, guys. I'm passing out here. This has been a special report. Thank you all for watching. As always, live your life with integrity without hate, envy, and greed. And as always, let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace.